Just gonna get started. Okay. We're gonna get started. Let me welcome you all again. We do this monthly. We put up a subject to talk about, to educate the masses, really coming from contribution, making people understand how real estate, different involvements in real estate. And sometimes it's really not about real estate at all. But today we want to talk to our business people. If you've been a business person, you have your own business, you're doing your own thing, or you're just an independent contractor, you could be a Uber driver, that's an independent contractor. You could have your own little transportation business, or mail business, or whatever that may be. You are making your own money by yourself, creating your own wealth. Now, there are also some people that falls into this. You want to make the most money doing what you do. You're a per diem employer. So you're not like a full-time employee, but you make money and you'll have to take care of your taxes later on. So however way you're making the money, you're making it happen. And a lot of people, because of that, they think because they do this, they can't afford to buy a home, or they file taxes a different way and showing very little income. So we want to show you that no matter where you are, there are opportunities, for you. So I'm going to share a screen to begin the subject matter. Let's see. All right. I think I need to make it bigger. Yes. Okay. So how to get your own piece of real estate, either you're 1099, your business person, independent contractor, whatever that may be. I want to welcome you all to this forum. So all the thoughts we're gonna bring about here comes from this book, Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. I'm sure most of you have come to that. It's really about, you have to think in order for you to grow well. Your mindset has to be there where, what can I do? This is just giving you that moment of time to think a little bit and say, okay, I can put this thing into plan. I can put that thing into plan and grow my wealth. It's really more than, purchasing an investment property. It's how do you grow a wealth for you, for your family, and create a legacy wherever you are. It's important to me for people to see that it's possible for everybody. I've met someone that make $30,000 and they own a home and they're worth $200,000 today. I had a young lady that made $46,000. She owns 2 homes, and the combined homes is worth over $500,000 from what she owes on it. This is how you grow yourself and your family. Okay, so my name is Gary Nix. And with the Gary Nix team here in Torrance, California, we operate from our hub, and we, really extend to all of Southern California. And my co-presenter today is Fernando Diaz with Homebridge. Fernando, can you say hello?
How you doing, guys?
All right. Fernando has been doing what he's done for almost 20 years.
No, 27 now. That needs to be updated.
Okay.
We're way outdated there.
Okay, all right. Awesome. We appreciate you coming on. So just a little bit about me, again, I've been 15 years. I'm a little younger than Fernando in this business. But in my 15 years, I've done 500 plus transactions. And it's given me the ability to just deal with different kind of draw from different places. And I've had some challenging transaction along the way, and I've accommodated them, and so many victories we've had in helping people to grow their wealth. Okay. All right, Fernando, talk a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, like I said, I've been doing this going on 27 years since I started. This is the only job I've done since I graduated college. I've not done anything else. So I've been very lucky to sort of fall into this industry and made a nice career out of it. But yeah, just like Gary, I help hundreds of people a year, achieve their goals of owning a home or, using equity to do different things or buy other properties or build businesses or whatever it may be. But yeah, it's a great feeling to see all these people have tons of success, and a lot of them keep coming back and back, over and over again, just to try to help other people do the same thing in their family. But yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. All right, so it's all about home purchasing, what's possible wherever you are. This is a place where you can build wealth. It doesn't matter what you get. This is something I really stress to people. It's not about having the biggest home, the dream home. Yes, if you're in a position where you can obtain that dream home, especially first time out, great. But really look at it as an investment. How can I grow my wealth through this medium? I find it to be the easiest way because this is a home is somewhere you got to live in anyway, right? So if you got to live in, why not grow your wealth with it? And if you can do that over and over, we're going to be rewarding, not just for you, but when you pass on, the people that coming behind you will be very thankful for that. I feel like I'm very thankful to my mom because she left me a home. I had a choice of selling or keeping the home. I sold it and used it to buy other homes. And that's a great feeling that, okay, what can I leave behind for my children, So don't cut yourself out of the buying game. It doesn't matter where you are, especially today, again, we're talking to people that you make money. You just don't make money the conventional way, right? And even so, can you still make something happen for yourself? To me, it doesn't matter if you're making the money. All you gotta do is create opportunity for yourself to gain this wealth. Because if sometimes, especially as a business person, you may be. I know at one time the medical business, medical supplies was like a big thing for a lot of people, right? They make money from it. But if I can look back of most of my friends that make money from that medical business, and I'm talking these guys are making 200, 250, maybe 300,000 a year from it. But they were just spending that money. You live, which is true for everybody. It doesn't matter what you make, 50,000, 100, 250,000. You just tend to live where you make that money. Expenses come up to you at that level. But why not figure a way to invest in yourself? This is going to be stable. A house is going to stay there unless there's a flood or whatever. And if you have a flood, you have a flood insurance to rebuild the house. It's going to be there for you. So what can that person do to enhance themselves? And the first question is, why do you want to do that, right? Why do you want to invest? I'll let my partner come up here and just give us a few reasons why they want to go buy real estate as opposed to just, living their life.
Well, first of all, I would say that buying real estate or a home in general is not just, 4 walls and a roof. It's really a place to, raise your family. And you're basically not only investing in the real estate, you're also investing in your family and putting them, under a nice roof that is yours. And then from there, you're building wealth because obviously every month you make a payment, you're reducing the principal on the loan. Over time in California, as we all know, real estate rises. So it's really, and the other thing too, which is another advantage, is the landlord isn't going to call you or one day send you a notice saying, hey, I need you guys to move because I'm doing X, Y, or Z to this thing. You control that. You control your family's destiny. You can control everything there. But one of the things that I want to point at, and Gary was talking about it earlier, about people that make some good money and whether they're investing in stocks and 401ks and et cetera, et cetera. I'm a living example of a person that does well, and I've invested. I always try to maximize my 401ks and all that every year. And keep in mind, I've been doing this for a very long time, so I've had the opportunity to invest a lot of money over the years into my 401ks, into buying stocks, into doing any of this stuff. But I will tell you this: my real estate holdings have far exceeded the amount, the wealth that I have over any of my stocks, 401ks, anything like that. I mean, it has just been nuts. But then keep in mind, I bought my first place when I was 26 years old, and I'm going to be 50 here in May. So what Gary's right is, you may, if you don't diversify, I mean, there's nothing wrong, trust me, you don't want to be all in on real estate or all in on the other way. But what it has done is, I would not be in the position I am today if it wasn't for the real estate. I'll just say that. I mean, the other stuff has done well, don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near what the real estate has done for me. Nowhere near.
All right. And just to add to that, especially when you're making money, you need to show where your money is going. You need to write off of your income. Uh, Real estate is a great place for that.
Yep.
Interest you pay, taxes you pay, you can write it off. Actually, not like when you just write business stuff off, that's cutting down on your income. Real estate will actually, can you talk about that one a little bit, Fernando?
I heard real estate and something, but I didn't hear that question. It broke up. What was the question exactly?
Okay, so if you're making money, right, and you're filing your taxes, the benefit of you owning a piece of real estate to write off against your income, as opposed to writing business expenses off.
Well, it's a tremendous plus. I mean, in my case, I'm a W-2 employee, so unfortunately, I don't get all the write-offs that an independent contractor does and all that stuff. But the biggest protection that I truly have as a W-2 employee, outside of my real estate and how we depreciate it, and when expenses come up and things like that, is my home, my primary home. I don't have business expenses necessarily and other things that I can write off. So my home is really my biggest protector outside of my real estate holdings when it comes to taxes.
All right, awesome. Okay, so that's in order to protect your wealth and to grow your wealth free, you need write-offs on your income. And obviously real estate gives you that. All right, so let's get into the heart of the day, what we really want to talk about today. Okay, we have to be purposeful and put in a plan. If you're making money, don't just let that money go down the drain. You have to be purposeful around it. And we're going to go through that a little bit more in a few minutes. I don't want to say it all in one shot. But being purposeful is just, think and grow rich. This is how you can grow your wealth. Okay, I have the money coming in. What do I do with this money? How do I show this money? So yeah, I know a lot of people, we all don't want to pay, to IRS. And I've had my issues over the years of, oh, did I hold that much? Did I hold that much? But we all got to pay because that's how the system works, right? But even so, even President Trump know how to figure this thing out. If you're making money, you have to figure it to write it off, but still able to show that income. And how are we going to be purposeful, and how do we put in that plan? Before we get into that, I want to talk about the value of a good credit score. Because as a business person, it's really important that you understand your FICO score. Having a good credit is so valuable. It's so valuable. You've got to work on that. And just a few things, that you need to know is you can never be late on your payments. You never charge full on your credit. If you need to charge full, if you need to use your credit, ask for increase in credit before you use it, right? Always trying to keep 30%, maybe 10% of your credit availability always available. Really, you're supposed to be using your credit like cash, like ATM. Some people, I don't understand why people they don't want to use credit, but then they go have a bad collection, right? Use your credit like your ATM. You use it, you pay it. You use it, you pay it. You have to have that lifestyle. because as a business person, it really, when we start talking about the options of financing you can do, having a good score goes a long way with that. Um, you know, do you want to add anything to that, Fernando?
Well, no, I mean, I would also, what I would add is, especially in this day and age where there's so much cyber fraud and et cetera, not only is what everything Gary said a good idea to keep, debt down and keep the balances down, but it's important, I would say, minimum of once a year, if not twice a year, to look at your credit just to make sure that everything is accurate and nobody is stealing your credit and creating problems for you that you're unaware of. So I see a big, with a lot of people that I deal with, things have happened in the past, or maybe they're not aware of something happening currently when you pull their credit, which could be related to fraud in some cases. Yeah. So very good idea to, at minimum once a year, if not twice a year, take a look at what's going on with your credit just to make sure that everything is correct.
And just so you know, getting a good credit is not much, because I've had people come to me where they had like a 550 credit score, and it's just a couple of things that they didn't do right. So it's just knowing that if you have collections, settle those collections, take them off your record. You'll have to have some revolving credit, and keep your balances as low as possible. That's really it. It's just knowing those two factors. Your balance is low, you have no collection coming up on your name. Don't, fight the right kind of fight. If you turn in a car, you have a car accident, your insurance write it off. Now they say you owe $2,000. You say, oh, I don't owe $2,000. You're supposed to pay it off. Don't fight that fight where it goes into collection. Even though you may be right, protect your credit. Take care of it, and move on, from life, because having a bad credit just really drags you down. Okay, moving on. Okay, so it's all about the future plan. It's really important to know that as a business person, the income you're showing, you need to be focused on the future. What do you plan to have? What kind of property do you want to buy? You want to buy $1 million property? You want to buy $800,000 property? Whatever that property is, how much do you have available for down payment? Are you going to be looking at down payment assistance? I mean, I had a couple came to me, they had $30,000, but they are 1099, and the previous taxes they were showing loss on their 1099. So I said, okay, in order for you to qualify, let's do 2 years of taxes and show income. So basically, their 30,000 went to paying taxes, and I found them a zero down program to buy. So it's just having a good understanding of what you need to do in order for you to be able to buy that property. So don't just think about today. Always have a plan for you tomorrow. If you're a business person, I mean, I think Fernando, actually, you've been great. You help us with one buyer that just show 1 year of taxes and was able to qualify, to buy, but they have to put 10% down. Was that the situation then? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, too, there's a big misconception out there, especially more amongst the realtors in the real estate world, that a self-employed individual, if that's the case, if some of you guys are self-employed out there, my sensor here, my light, there you go, boom, that it's harder to buy a home because obviously you write off expenses, you don't show necessarily all your income and all that. But what's important to note is, to some extent, that may or may not be true, but there are so many other options that you have to purchase a home potentially than just your tax returns. I mean, we've got products here where it could be personal bank statements. I was going to get into all of it. All
right. We got case file to deal with later on.
Am I jumping ahead?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I'm jumping ahead.
Okay. To know that, okay, everything is possible. It's just
everything is possible.
Planning in it. Okay, that's great. All right, so you have to think things you need to consider. What do you want? And let's just go through the things you want to consider if you're looking to buy a home, especially as a business person. Okay. The property you want really matters. Okay, if I know people that make $250,000 and they're showing $60,000 in income, right? I know a couple that makes $1 million a year, and they want to show $50,000 in income so that they can qualify for everything. I get it, that's fine, but it's important to know, okay, what kind of property do I want to buy, right? If I'm gonna buy $1 million property that my mortgage is gonna be $6,000, okay, I need to show worthy income of that. So I mean, give us an idea. Just rule of thumb: if you're gonna buy, if you're gonna do a $6,000 mortgage, how much income you need to show? Let's say you have $1,000 in debt, revolving debt. How much income would you need to show for that?
Well, hang on. I'll run it right now for you. So we can, because I just closed it down by accident. You said what was the sales price of the house? You said?
Well, let's just say $1 million property. You're putting 20% down.
Yep.
How much income do you need to show for that?
And you have $1,000 in debt?
Uh-huh.
About 12. I mean, if your credit is strong, $12,000 a month you need to make. Show it
For how much? I'm sorry.
for $1 million house.
$1 million.
Yep.
So this is how clarity comes to play. So if you know you got to show $12,000 a month, so you have to show a gross income of
144 a year.
144 a year. So it's just having clarity on that. And of course, if it's a lesser property, it's lesser income that we have to show.
Yep.
So whatever that house you want to buy, it's a single family, it's an income property. All right, I need to show this much, so now I'm not writing everything off because I don't want to show anything, right? Because yeah, you could write it off and then you got to come up with more money, for down payment. And we'll talk about that in a little bit in a case file. Okay. So the income it takes to qualify, which is basically what Fernando just shared with us. If you buy $1 million property with 20% down, so basically $6,000 income, $6,000 payment, you need to have $12,000 in income. So whatever you're going to show, all of your debt needs to be at least less than 50% of what you're showing in income. It's basically the way they have it down. Okay. So the money you show is going to determine the key you have, right? So, and it's okay, folks, if you're getting the first one, like, listen, I don't want to get penalized so much by the government. Okay, so be comfortable. Maybe you buy an $800,000 property. Maybe you buy a $600,000 property, so you show less. But know that, and then you have a plan that, okay, if I get that $600,000 property, it's going to appreciate in so many years, and then I can go buy that $1 million property I want to buy, later on. All of that is possible. So create a world of that income. The world is already actually in there for you. For most of you that are 1099, independent contractors, business people, the world is there for you. I know a handyman that makes, almost $140,000 a year. That's coming to him, all right? But yet, if he's showing income, he want to show $30,000 income. No, it's because that's minimizing our ability. You're being blessed already. Live the life that you live, your full potential life. Just create that wall. Like, okay, it's just being clear and focused. Like, okay, if I want to buy a $500,000 property, well, I need to show $6,000 in income or $7,000 in income. I go show that. If I want something more, depending on where I want. For business people, it's up to you. I'm not talking about you don't have that income. I'm talking about you have that income coming in. It's entirely up to you, the world you create for your income. Roll in the dollars. You can see the dollars coming in instead of writing everything off. just write some of them off and show something left over for your income to qualify you. Okay. So this is really where a lot of business people get stuck: taxes. I don't want to pay a tax. I don't want to pay a tax. I don't want to hold the government any money. I don't want Uncle Sam to take my money, all of that. I'm going to ask you to rethink this because, yeah, programming of our mind is so important. You know, our history, our family, you know, the people around us has told us, no, don't pay taxes if you can. Don't pay tax, you know, or avoid paying taxes. And I'm just going to say for you to change that programming of your mind, because the taxes you pay is much less than the money you would need to spend. Okay. And I think Fernando can come in here. If somebody, a business person that's earning $200,000 a year, and they write off, you know, lucratively, you know, $60,000 in business expenses, and they have $140,000 income. How much taxes would that, you know, just give me a general, you know, estimate.
Well, I mean, typically between state and federal, you're going to pay around 30% of what you show to taxes.
Okay.
So basically, if you take a $200,000 person and they make, or they show after expenses 140,000, that is basically you're going to pay about 42,000 in taxes between state and federal.
Okay.
Roughly. I'm not an accountant, but roughly in that range.
Okay. So my CPA is not here on this forum, but I'm going to just give you a couple ideas to go around that. First of all, yeah, you pay $30,000 in taxes. You now show a full $140,000 in income. That $140,000 income, again, I've had someone where, okay, look, let's go pay the taxes and let's find program, because now your income is bona fide. It's clear that you can buy that, you know, $700,000, $800,000 property. Even if you don't have the money for that, you know, there are programs that can help you with that because you have the income. Everything starts with income and qualifying, right? Now, of course, if my financial person would be here, it's like, hey, if you have a business like that, why don't you make it an S corp and pay yourself, you know, W-2 off of it, and then you can use that to qualify, because it's just easier to maintain that way. You're paying your taxes up front, and then you can write off everything off of your business, right? You know, that's another way to look at it. But even if you're paying that $32,000 taxes, it's still going to allow you to qualify, you know, programming. If you know, Fernando can intervene, because if you use tax qualification, your rate is normal rate. There are other ways you can go, but you're going to pay high. Is that correct?
You're going to pay a premium to go outside the box. Yes.
Yeah. So you can go outside the box, and we're going to talk about that later on the case files. How can you go outside the box? But inside the box, you'll qualify for, you know, conventional type of financing. Whatever the market dictates, you'll get that best rate in payment. Okay. So don't cut yourself off on building your legacy, your home, your investment, your future. Really important that you understand that what you do in building wealth through real estate is creating a legacy for yourself, is creating a home for your family, and then it's building an investment. And I mean, I don't know how many times I've dealt with people that after they've paid off their house start paying them back. They do reverse mortgage, and the house is now paying them money. I mean, I'm dealing with 2 probate right now that they died, and the house was paying, you know, their livelihood until they died. And even after they died, there's still another $400,000 in equity for us to settle. So it's just so many things that a home does for you that it's really valuable, you know, for you to grow. Okay. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, Any question
Before,
before we go?
before you move forward, can you please talk a little bit about the reverse mortgage? If this is the right time, or do we wait till question and answer?
Well, I mean, this is a little Q&A before we go to the case files. So absolutely. Reverse mortgage is basically as you get, or get older, and either you pay your house down to zero, or you owe less than 50% of your house, you can reverse the mortgage to either make payments if you still owe money on the house and they pay your taxes. So basically, you're not doing that. But sometimes people still even actually get check from the mortgage company back into their end to finance their life. And that's all from the equity. And it usually depends on what age that one get into it. I like I said, I'm dealing with 2 clients right now that they did a reverse mortgage after they paid off their house in 30 years. And then there's a reverse mortgage to be paying them back and paying their taxes and stuff. And that's still coming in, even after they passed away, it's still coming in into the account. It's just, it's another way of what home ownership does for you when you get into it. Any other question on that?
Well, I think one thing, Gary, to about reverse mortgages, so that you guys understand it clearly too, is, for example, let's think of your parents hypothetically. So depending on their financial situation, where they're at, imagine if you could stop their house payment immediately. So how would that help them financially, especially as they get older, they get maybe into their retirement, fixed income. So a reverse mortgage would stop your payment immediately. Obviously, you're still responsible for the taxes and insurance, but you would have no more house payment. Like as soon as you're qualified and done, that's it. It's over for the rest of your life too, by the way, for the rest of your life. The other thing it can do also, like Gary said earlier, it could be used to an advantage. So my uncle is a perfect example of this. His house was free and clear. And unfortunately, my aunt passed away. She had a long battle with cancer, et cetera, et cetera. And he's up there, pushing in, I would say, low to mid 70s. So he took a reverse mortgage out on his house, and he put $600,000 in the bank for his well-being, to be able to, take care of his own needs and everything else. So because he, was able to pay off his house early, the house basically takes care of him now. For the rest of his life, he should be well taken care of. So those are the 2 things that can happen. And by the way, he has no payment on that 600,000, guys, just the taxes and insurance. That's frozen. So that's why, in his situation, everybody has a different situation. It worked out nicely. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. By the way, let me stop sharing, just make sure everybody know. By the way, if you stay to the end, I keep forgetting about this. I'm like, I'm gonna say it in the beginning, I forget. We have a raffle drawing in the end, so please stay to the end. We're about to get into the nitty-gritty part of this presentation. And this is where you guys want to come in and participate, because we're going to look at some case files of this scenario and that scenario, and kind of analyze it and see the possible things that people can do when they're in that. Let me go back to my presentation. Okay. All right, so I think we have about 5 or 6 case files to go through. So we can give about 5 minutes to each one. So case file number 1. This thing is slow to coming up. Okay, so an entertainer that generates about $10,000 income per month, $120,000 a year. How this person can now can show income to qualify for a home. So if you, it's basically someone that works in the entertainment business. Either, a matter of fact, I know one gentleman that's is a performer, and he performs at different clubs, blah, blah, and generates about this much money. Again, this kind of person, his lifestyle before is at the end of the year, it shows $30,000 in income. And I said, no, by doing that, you're shortchanging yourself, because $30,000 in income, that's going to keep you in poverty where you can buy anything, right? So just to change that person's mind, like, okay, I mean, I'll let Fernando, you tell me what you have, and then I'll put my inputs in there.
Well, first of all, people that work in the entertainment business for the most part, and depending on how they do it, they typically have two, I guess you would say, two columns of income. They have the contractor, the people that paid them under a W-2, and then they have the other line of people that paid them as a 1099. So people that are in that business that are in and out, let's say, could be a lighting director for movies or shows. They're in and out of work, you know, depending on the projects they have lined up. Banks will treat those people as self-employed individuals, regardless if they're all W-2 or 1099 or a combination. And they typically will average their income over 18 to 24 months, using worst case if it's declining, or average if it's up, you know, going up or trending up. But that's basically how we look at, you know, people that are in the entertainment business for the most part.
Okay, so again, basically somebody like this is making $120, $120,000 a year. It's not to mask it that you don't earn the income, because when you do that, it doesn't give you power to do anything. It's to know that you can show the income, you have, you know, normal write-offs, you know, family, kids that you can write off of that, and then just pay whatever. If you just set up to pay quarterly $5,000 every quarter, then it's less expense at the end of the year. What most people do is they forget to make the quarterly payments, and then at the end of the year they are consumed with, oh my God, I got to put up $20,000 or $22,000, and then they don't want to do it. You know, so that's, again, it's knowing where you are and where you want to go. All right, so case file number 2. Independent contractor get deposit of $144,000 income a year, average, which is like $12,000 a month. How does this person write off expense and create an income?
Well, they write everything off. They're not going to create any income. So it depends on what they do. It just depends. I mean, you have to set yourself up on a plan. So if you're trying to buy, like I have many clients, this is the time of year, especially right now, January, February, March, where either I have accountants or self-employed individuals saying, hey, Fernando, either I want to buy a house or I want to refinance my house. You know, what do I have to do to qualify? Okay. So I typically say, okay, show me what you did last year, and so that we can see what you have to do this year or this upcoming year. And then we run some models. So this person here, who's an independent contractor, it's the same thing. You know, I would say, okay, let's set up an application and run the credit, make sure all these other things are in order. Debts obviously are important to the income that you're going to show. And then let me see what you did the year prior so that we can compare it. So the year prior, maybe they only qualified to 500,000. And maybe the house that they want is 800,000. So we could say, okay, based on these taxes, you would have to basically increase your net income to this, or maybe a combination of paying off a few debts and keeping the income within a certain window. But that would get you to the house that you want to buy for 800,000 or whatever it may be. So it's case by case, but what we can do is we will model it out for you now so that you know what you need to do to qualify for what you want.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the key. Again, when we're talking about creating a plan, being purposeful is knowing what you want to get to and what you need to do to get there. You know, it's really as simple as that. Awesome.
I had a question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It was about the scenario. So I know we were saying you can't write off everything. So in that scenario, making 144,000, how do you get the number that you would pay quarterly? You're making 144,000 a year. How do you know the quarterly number you would pay in taxes? What's the percentage that you tax?
Okay. Fernando, you got something on that, or you want me to?
Well, you can go ahead, Gary, because like I said, I'm W-2'd, so I pay the government heavily, constantly.
Okay.
I don't have a way to hide it that way, so I don't understand.
Right, so there are two ways to that. If you know you want to show all of your income of 144,000, you know, just I would say about 20% of that. So 144, that's close to $30,000. So if you quarterly, if you pay, I don't know, 6,000 or 7,000 every quarterly, you minimize what you got to deal with at the end of the year.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
so that's the way you do that. Another way you can do that is, of course, set up an S corp. You set up an S corporation. If you know your money is constant, right? Set up an S corp and then W2 yourself towards the S corp. S corp, you only have to pay $800 a year, for the S corp, and then you can write everything off. But now you put yourself on a W2, maybe $100,000 income or $90,000 income, and that taxes is being taken off from you every time you issue a check for yourself. So those are the two ways you can go about that. All right.
Okay.
Good again.
Okay, thank you.
So case file number 3. This is, we're in that opportunity now where a lot of Uber, Lyft drivers, generating $6,000 a month with 3 kids. Again, this is a 1099 income, right? And so with 3 kids, because I see some people where the income is not that great, and yet they go right off business expenses. So in this kind of scenario, what can you advise? You have 3 kids that you can write off against your income. What's the difference in that, if you can share?
You talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, I mean, your kids are obviously a tool against taxes, but obviously I would recommend you always get accurate advice from a CPA or EA on it. But one of the things that I think that as we're doing these slides, guys, and just kind of going through independent contractors, whatever it may be, all these people are pretty much self-employed. I don't know if it's the right time, but keep in mind that you can either do the taxes, qualify on the income based on the taxes, or we could also maybe look at other ways like bank statements and things like that, where you may also qualify without having to do the taxes. So I don't know if you want me to discuss that too, Gary, or wait.
Yeah, that's why
we're basically telling you, and this is not wrong information. It's very accurate. But right now we're telling you what you have to do traditionally. But there's other things that we can do here that are non-traditional, if you want to call it that.
Okay, so I think what I wanted to bring out of this one is if you have children, those are normal write-offs, right? And I don't know if it's credit for 3,000 or 5,000 per child. Those are normal write-off that doesn't take against your income. So somebody is making $6,000 a month, and $72,000 income. So normally your taxes, if you're reporting everything, is still very low. It's like $15,000. But then you have the 3 kids that's giving you $9,000 right off on that. So what happens here is this person, because their mindset is, I don't want to pay taxes, they go right off $50,000, right? So they can only pay taxes on 20. When with your 3 kids, you already got protection of 9,000 out of the 7,000. So you just pay $5,000 or $6,000 and you report your full income. It will help you to qualify. So this is just what we wanted to point out here is make sure you let your CPA or accounting person know that I want to do this, because most people just go and say, oh, I don't want to pay taxes, and they get aggressive on you and show nothing for you, so that's really what we want to bring out on this one. But we do have one coming up. Okay, so that's it. All right, so restaurant owner, this is what we're talking about. Generating 24,000 monthly with expenses. What's the best cost of showing their financials? So here you are open to give us a different way, this person, because you have a lot of income coming in. What are the different ways they can go about?
Well, this is the perfect example of an individual that could provide 12 months business bank statements. And there are 2 categories for that. Some investors want 12, some investors want 24. They want a 2-year average. But for the most part, if they're averaging 24,000 a month, let's just say over whether it's 12 or 24 months, it doesn't matter. Most investors will basically put 50% away for expenses, and then the income towards buying a house will be $12,000. It'll be basically half of 24. So depending on the amount of down payment, this individual has in debt, they should be able to buy $1 million house for the most part, based on the model we ran earlier, just on their bank statements alone.
Nice. So this is the person that have that option of if they want to go file taxes, they can go file taxes, show whatever the income is needed. Obviously at $24,000 a month, you're talking a lot of dough, almost $1 million a year, right? So they can go file taxes and show $250,000 in taxes, pay $50,000, or $60,000 for that. Or they can go like, okay, I don't want to go to filing taxes bank statement program. It will cost you a little bit more, right? But they can go that route and just show even with just 1 year. I think we did one together with just 1 year of income, and we're able to close with the guy. Right? Okay. All right. So owner, okay, so this is the last one here. Owner of multiple properties generating $20,000 in rental income with one minor to claim on taxes. What is the best way for this person to show financial income? So,
well, the one minor making that kind of money isn't going to really do anything for you. I mean, it's going to help you a little, but the person that is basically just rental income based. Now, I don't know if this 20,000 is net or, or gross off of, whatever it is.
Gross. Yeah, it's gross. Yeah.
So that depends. But one of the things, a person like this that owns multiple properties, and I have a lot of these clients, for example, that have this situation, maybe they don't generate, or, they're retired, or this is their income. They don't really generate a lot of other income outside of that. For the most part, a lot of these people, just because they're not paying a lot in taxes, et cetera, tend to have good amounts of reserves in their bank accounts. You can do what we call an investor cash flow program. So I don't, once again, this is another way to qualify without using taxes. So what that is, it's basically a loan, 30-year fixed, where the bank is looking at the rental income the property generates to qualify. And as long as that rental income is higher than the payment, you qualify. So there's no employment verification, there's no tax verification. Obviously, they're looking at your credit to make sure that you have a good history and you have your down payment or your reserves if it's a refinance, and whatever that may be, and you're done. So that's probably, I would say, one of the most or popular ways for an individual like this to qualify.
Okay, that's cool. So, and because I've run across these scenarios before, so this is just giving you guys all those tools. So now let me just make sure any other questions. I still have one more. Oh my gosh. I thought it was fast there.
They keep coming.
So employee on 1099, making $80 an hour, working 84 hours a week. That's about $6,720 per week. How can this person show our income for how to qualify for a home? So this is like a per diem, person. I do have a lot of nurses that connect with us, and they're making, pretty good dough, but
they're going to get averaged. So that's one thing. It's one of these. This is sort of one of those scenarios, kind of like an earlier one, where we would look at your past, and then let's look at what we have to do going into this year for your taxes to get you qualified for, what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Okay. All right, that's awesome. I think Q&A.
One more thing, Gary, because if you're going to go into Q&A, I just wanted to put it in everybody's ear. If you eliminate tax returns for an individual, what other ways can they qualify to obtain a property? So we talked about that investor cash flow program. So that's basically for somebody that already owns a home and is looking to buy other homes or other investment properties. No taxes required. They're just looking at the property only. So there's one way. The other way we talked about also, guys, is bank statements. So we talked about either 12 or 24 months bank statements, looking at the cash that's coming in. For the most part, the bank's going to take 50% away and give you the other 50% as income to buy. The other side of it is assets. So we have asset programs where you basically qualify. For example, I have one right here that they bought in Santa Monica, a condo. So these people were in the yoga business in Chicago and moved out here and were renting and trying to get reestablished in the yoga business here in the West Side, right? But they sold everything, so they had no taxes, no job. They were just actually working at a yoga studio, just kind of getting their feet wet again here. But they had a good sizable amount of money in the bank because they sold their business, et cetera, et cetera. So they bought a little condo in Santa Monica. It was a $700,000 loan. I forget the sales price. The loan was around $700,000, but they had enough in the bank. They had to just show that they had 125% of the loan amount, and that's it and done. They qualified. The bank doesn't care about anything else. So they had 125% of, let's say, 700,000, obviously because they sold their business and all that, and no tax returns, no nothing. They had good credit. That was all that was required. So assets is another way to qualify. And then the last one is like a no ratio type program, which is becoming more prevalent and popular. These are obviously for people that have a high down payment, 25% or more, but they're not looking at anything. Since there's no qualifying ratio, there's really no income involved, there's no employment involved. It's just you have the 25% down, a decent credit situation, and you're in. So all of these are different models outside of tax returns or traditional qualifying that are also available to consumers out there.
All right. So
I have a question.
Mhm.
My question is, if somebody is bringing home 25,000 28,000 per month, and he just started the job, how soon can somebody buy a house?
Well, that question can go in many directions, but let me ask you this. Is that person W-2'd?
Yes,
Okay, and then what were they doing prior to that? Were they going to school or getting
they were
certified
going to school, just graduated.
from college?
Yes,
So college counts as work, so you're fine. So we probably want to see, obviously, the pay stubs, an employment agreement if they have one, and their transcripts and diploma. So that person should be fine.
oh, I see. So,
Yeah,
but if he
keep in
does
mind
have
that
a
you didn't-
student loan,
Wait, what is that now?
if he does have a student loan, will that also apply? Will that be something that might not make you qualify?
Depending on which way we go, if they already have a payment set up that we can see on the credit report, they'll use the payment. If there is no payment, some investors use 1% of the balance and other investors use 0.5% of the balance. So depending on which one is best in this scenario, we would, align it up with the right investor. But for somebody that's making 25,000 a month coming out of college and things are moving forward, obviously they should be able to qualify for something, for sure.
Okay. My next question is, what are the pros and cons of having the reverse mortgage?
Well, I would say initially, let's just talk about the con out of the gate. So like I said earlier, there are no payments on reverse mortgages, right? Until, for the rest of your life. But there is an actual payment. It's just getting accrued to the back of the loan every month or every year, every month. So I guess the drawback would be it's going to eat up your equity depending on how long you live, right? Because if you're, around for 20, 25 years, that's a lot of payments going to the back of the loan. If you're, if you're around for 10 years, not as many, or 5 years, not as many, right? So that's, I guess the con would be it eats up the equity. If you plan on leaving some of this, let's say for your kids or something, okay? But if you don't, then, it doesn't really matter. So the pro is obviously that, you eliminate that portion of financial obligation away from yourself, especially if you're elderly and in your retirement years. So let's face it, because for most people that your housing expense is your biggest payment, whether it's rent or your house payment, including taxes and insurance and all that, right? So if you were able to eliminate that, how much easier would it be for you to live if you're retired? That's the pro.
Okay. My next question is, if you have a chunk of money after you're retired, what will they base on your income? You have the money in the bank, like we're talking about 600,000.
Mm-hmm.
So can you buy another property with that, or you cannot?
well, you could use that, like I said, that investor cash flow loan, for example. So if you have your
Yeah.
house, you have 600,000 in the bank and you want to buy an investment property, for example,
Yeah.
you would qualify strictly on the rents.
Okay.
So that's one way of doing it.
I see.
Obviously, if you bought something that, let's just say, required a small loan of 250,000, you may also qualify on the asset programs where they're looking at what's left over after the down payment. And if there's enough to cover the loan plus some, that's another way to qualify too.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
All right, any other questions? I'm loving this.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay,
I caught the part when you said, I forgot the name of the program, but when you said if you have 125% of the loan amount, you don't have to show any documents to
Yep.
purchase it.
Yep. So that's an asset program. So
Asset
like I said, this individual, they sold a business, like I said, in Chicago, had a bunch of money from that. So all they had to show was 125% of the loan they wanted to borrow. So for example, let's just say the loan was 700,000, which I believe it was right around that in their case. So they had to show, hang on a second here, 700, 1, 2, 3 times 125%. They had to show $875,000 in the bank after they closed their transaction, and they had that.
did they take a loan?
Okay.
Actually, let's just have clarity on that. Did they take a loan on the property?
Yes,
Yeah, so they took a loan, with 10% or 20% down, and they still.
I think in their case, they wanted to put 30% down. That's what they put
Okay,
down. as a
so
result.
they put 30% down, and they still have the asset, showing, and that's enough. So now,
Yeah.
is that a normal rate? Is that going to be a higher rate than market rate?
You know what? At the time, they got a great deal. They got 3.6 on a 30-year fixed. So it was the market was probably about 2.8 at the time.
Okay.
So for them to get 3.6 on a 30-year fix, they were very happy.
So you said you got to show 125%
of the loan amount. Yeah.
Loan amount in the bank. Okay.
As a reserve. Uh-huh.
Another question just popped up my head. This will be the last question. When we're talking about buying $1 million house, say that person needs to be making how much? I missed that part.
Well, there's two sides of that too. Caroline just understands them. And one of the most important pieces to answer that question is how much debt do they have in terms of car payments, student loans, whatever else it may be. Because if you have no debt, absolutely nothing, that's different than if you had some debt, right? Because the income would be different. The calculation would be different. So depending on the range, like I would said earlier, if you have $1,000 a month in debt, you need $12,000 a month. But let's just say the person had no debt, absolutely nothing. Now, what do they need to qualify for this $1 million house? Let's take a look. They need approximately, if they have perfect credit, let's say between 10,000 and 10,500 a month. So less than 12,000, which is the same model we ran earlier for the same house. Just depends on the debt they have.
Okay.
Awesome. But
All right, thank you.
all so much. This has been fantastic. It went all the way to the very end. Nice. 10:59. Like we always say, we promise we're gonna get it done on time, and we did get it done on time. Next month, we're gonna be talking about a seller's workshop, really about creating a trust, for properties, to protect your properties, to protect your wealth, really setting up a trust for everything you have, and assigning people to it to protect the wealth that people have developed. Okay, we're coming to an end. So my beautiful assistant is on the other side, and she is calculating everybody that came in. Thank God. This was a great showing, and everybody stayed to the end. So we've got a $100 gift certificate to a restaurant, so you can pick one you want, CPK, I think we have Red Lobster, or Cheesecake Factory, either way you want. All right, let's see. Wendy, take over.
All right, thank you so much for coming, guys. So I'm going to do the raffle now.
Shake it, put it on, lift it up so you can see you shaking it. There you go.
All right.
So she's been putting everybody's name that signing either on Facebook Live or on Zoom, because we have some people on Facebook Live too. All right.
All right. So the winner for this seminar raffle is Madame Lara.
Madam Lara, okay.
Congratulations.
Woohoo!
I've never won something like that before. Woohoo! Oh, wow.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
This is
Thank
my
you
lucky
so
day, I
much.
guess.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
everybody for coming in. We really, really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time. Okay.
Gary,
All
event.
right.
Bye now.
David.
Oh, by the way, real quickly, if you are local, there's a Black History Month event going on in Carson. I'll be there from 12 to 3. So if you can make it there, that will be great. We'll have a booth over there and we'd love to see you. All right. Thank
Take
you.
care, guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
That's why I'm leaving you alone. Baby, you